Free content versus paid content. How do you differentiate what you share for free on social media, in your podcasts, in your YouTube videos, and what do you actually package into your paid programs? Now, if you've been in the content creation industry for a while, if you have been a course creator, if you've been a coach, chances are you've heard people say, oh, but if I give everything away for free, why would anybody really pay me? They can piece all of my YouTube videos together for free and have my course. They can now use ChatGPT even to find all the information. But here's the thing. This kind of belief is truly built on scarcity rather than the actual strategy. I will say that my belief has always been you give everything away for free because that always builds your authority, that builds your credibility. You deliver so much value that you just become undeniable. People cannot think about anybody else but you because you have helped them so much for free. They keep thinking, if she's doing this much in her free content, I can only imagine how her paid containers look like. And also you have to understand that free and paid content, they do not serve the same purpose. This is gonna sound very bad, but it's the truth. Every single time I gave away everything for free, there was a very small percentage of people who actually took action. And it sounds really bad, like I said, but that's just the case with free information. When people pay, they pay attention. It is very, very rare when somebody signs up for a free webinar or even watches a complete YouTube video on how to build a brand, how to build a website. It's very rare when people are actually going to follow through. And I want to give you some specific examples that I know are going to hit you hard. For example, I love listening to music. I've been a huge fan of Rihanna since I was 11 or 12 years old. When I was 13 or 12, me and my dad, we went to her concert, right? I wasn't allowed to go myself. We flew together to London and we attended the concert back when she was actually singing. Now, I've listened to so much of her music essentially for free because at the time, it was like early 2000s, I would listen to all her video clips and I would watch music channels on the TV, and every single time her song would be on, I would stop everything and I would go around, look at the music clip. And we still paid to go to the concert. My parents paid for us to go to the concert because we wanted to experience that live. We wanted to see what it's like to hear her voice in person. Could I keep listening to her music for free? Sure, but it wouldn't have been the same experience. The same thing applies to your business. Here's another example. Basically, any musician that you love, Taylor Swift, Sleep Token, Rammstein, like there are some amazing bands that put together insane concerts and it's an entire show. It's not something you can experience from Spotify. It's not something you can experience from even watching a music clip, if they even exist these days. People still pay thousands of dollars to go to concerts. Literally, Taylor Swift's concerts, Beyonce's concerts, they get sold out almost immediately, to where people have to be in that digital queue, which is really insane to me. I was in a digital queue for something and there was about 45,000 people in front of me and I just kept refreshing the page. And I was like, wow, that's not how we used to buy concert tickets back in the day in the early 2000s. Now, here's another example. You might be watching Gordon Ramsay's recipe videos on YouTube. I know I do. I watched a lot of his recipes. I've cooked several of his things, but I still go to his restaurants. I've still gone out of my way to go to his restaurant because I wanted to experience the food that the chefs cook based on the recipes that he provided. I still wanted to experience, gourmet food in real life. I probably cannot cook as good as they do in restaurants, so I wanted to experience that in person. If he wasn't giving that free value in his videos, I probably wouldn't be as inclined to go. I mean, with Gordon Ramsay, it's slightly different, right? So everybody knows he's a super famous chef, one of the most famous ones, and people go because of the brand, because of who he is, and him putting out free content just amplifies that brand even more. And here's the wildest example of free versus paid content. Think of Mona Lisa. You've seen that painting a million times on the internet. You can see everything on social media. You can see everything on Google Maps. Literally, some of my friends last year, they said, "Oh, why are you going to Rome and Italy and all those places? You can just take a virtual tour on Google Maps." And I'm like, sure, sounds like an amazing idea. I'll do that next time. And it sounds so ridiculous, but you have seen Mona Lisa painting a million times. I can Google it right now and it's right there. But people still stand in line at Louvre in Paris just to see that tiny little painting in real life with tons of peoples in front of them. That's insane. But would I do that? Yeah, I would love to see it in person. That's probably why I would go to Paris personally. But that just goes to show that people do care about experiences in real life. And in fact, one of the things that 2026 is bringing for most of us is experiences are going to be the thing of 2026. If there's one thing that you can create that ChatGPT and no other AI can really recreate, is experience. And let people experience you. Let people experience your energy. Let people experience your brain, how you think. And that's 99% of the time can be done through your paid containers. Now, if we were to break it down from a strategy standpoint, here's how free content is different than paid content. In your free content, you show your thought process. You demonstrate your expertise. You let people kind of inside of your brain. You show them how you think. For example, recently I did a post on how I would build out a signature series for Draco Malfoy if he wanted to rebuild his reputation. That post was incredible because it let my audience know how my brain is thinking. Because it's not something that I would typically do. I mean, there's no Draco Malfoy, right? He's a fictional character, unfortunately, or fortunately, because hello, he's a villain. But it let people know how I think. And it also positioned my expertise, which is creating a signature content series, in a way that not a lot of people can recreate, dare I say. It sounds a little bit cocky, but it was unique because one, I do love Harry Potter series. Number two, I love fan fiction. If you know, you know, specifically Hermione fan fiction that I've been reading this year. And Draco Malfoy is a major character, which is one of my favorite characters of all time. And I mixed fun and business and my expertise. And I didn't create the content that everybody else could create. I didn't create the content that ChatGPT can spit out instantly in 5 seconds. I created something that is free, incredibly valuable, and positions my expertise in a completely different way that nobody else will be able to copy. They could, but it's not going to be done in the same fashion that I have created it. Then your free content also creates emotional resonance. It builds your brand, tells people that you exist essentially, because people will always buy your paid containers, programs, offers, courses, whatever you want to call them. They always buy them because of you. It's not just because of the value. Sure, they want to learn and they want to get the value from the program. They want to learn something. They want to experience the transformation, but they're buying it from you because of you, because there's thousands of creators teaching the exact same thing that I'm teaching. There's thousands of creators that are teaching the exact same thing that you're teaching, but there's a reason why somebody's going to work with you over somebody else. Your content also builds trust. Like the free content is always going to be the trust building factor, and your free content builds the trust. And that's truly today one of the most important things, because the reason why people are going to buy from you is number one, it's because of you. Number two is because of the trust that they have with you. Again, they're not going to build trust with ChatGPT. They may not have trust with some big guru that creates the same thing, talks about the same things as you do. But just because they trust you, because they've already gotten so much value from your free content that has built up all of that trust, that would be the reason why they invest with you. And then the free content also does the basic things as revealing the what and the why. What is it that you're teaching? Why does it work? Why should people pay attention? Your free content is basically the evidence that you're showing to them. Now, the paid content is where you dive a lot deeper, is where you show the step-by-step process, is where you show your methodologies, is where you show your frameworks. is where you're able to give more access to yourself through those containers, and when people can get actual feedback and real time, hot seat Q&A, ask you questions, one-on-one work and that kind of stuff. It's not something that you can do in your free content. You can help here and there, but there's not a lot that you can do in a DM conversation. So your paid programs, whether it's done with you, done for you, is where the real transformation for your clients is going to happen. And here's something that I also want to add to this episode that I know is going to be super valuable. I've just had this conversation with my coach on a mastermind call, and she said something super, super profound, which is, why are you so afraid to give away free information as if you're not getting better every single day? Why are you afraid that you're not going to have an original thought tomorrow? You give away free value today. Tomorrow, you are 10 times more valuable. Today, you're going to go to the shower, you're going to go for a walk, and you're going to get 5 unique ideas. So knowledge is infinite. There's never enough value to share into the world because your work is deeper than you actually think. If you're teaching breath work, or you're teaching EFT tapping, or something related to human design or astrology, or no matter the industry, there's always more. You can take one concept, literally go to one of your programs, take one concept, and you can turn it into like a whole signature speech. You can take one concept of how to write, for example, I can do this, how to write a high converting hook. And I can turn just that one little idea into a million content pieces and spread it all over, right? So don't think that there's not enough value in yourself or that people will piece it together like a puzzle, because 9 times out of 10, the people who need support, they're always going to invest into the support. And when you're the most valuable person on the market, when they are ready to hire, they're going to think of you. And also keep in mind, people don't just buy value, they don't just buy information, because they can get information anywhere on the internet. They can technically get by just okay with ChatGPT if they wanted to. Now, they're not going to get your unique edge and your brain for free from ChatGPT because it just doesn't exist. But they're also not going to be able to put together everything that you're doing for your clients in paid containers. It's just impossible to put it together for free. And I would be really surprised if they were to do that. Because every single time I've invested in coaches, I've invested in mentors, I've invested in, whether it's a course, masterminds, one-on-one program, it's always been more deep than the free content that that person has created every single time. Now, if this episode made you realize that your free content is essentially the bridge to your paid offers, then I know you're going to love the new container that I've just put together called the CEO Signature 7. And over the course of 7 days, you're going to get 7 audio activations that will guide you on all the things that you can recalibrate, that will guide you on all of the things from tactics, mindset, strategy, business, social media content, all the things that you can recalibrate to move into 2026, the year of the horse, the CEO Signature 7. I'm going to leave a link down below this video. I cannot wait to see you there. Now, if there's one thing that I want to leave you with in this episode is do not underestimate the potential and the power of the free content, because just because you're sharing the how-to or the process or the tutorial doesn't mean that people are going to go ahead and do it on their own. Because the people who are willing to invest and work with you on a done with you or done for you type of offer, if you are a service provider especially, they are going to invest with you because they simply don't have the time or the energy to follow all of the tutorials, because they're so busy in their business that they just don't have the capacity, and they are looking for somebody reputable, valuable, and trustworthy to work with. And your free content is going to position you as that.